I think there have been injuries where Gruden never expected them to be so severe.
Right.
You point to Jordan Reed. That's the first one you think about, where it's a hamstring. Oh, he should be okay. He should be okay. He's missed 6 games. Now he's going on the IR. And Jay at this point is just like, I'm not saying anything because I don't know what's going to happen. If Samaje's out there today, he'll go Sunday. If he's not out there today, I mean, you're looking at LaShawn Daniels and Capri Bibbs against I think the number 1 rush defense in the NFL.
Although they've given up a lot of points this year.
Yeah.
So their defense is kind of weird.
It's funky. I tweeted a stat last week that I think you liked for your pregame show, that the Cardinals came into last week.
That's another team, right.
Right, and they have just about any metric you look at defensively, yards per play, yards per attempt, rush yards per game. The Cardinals were top 10, yet they were bottom half of the league in points allowed.
Yeah.
Broncos are the same thing.
Yep.
And they're top 5 in just about every defensive metric.
Right.
And they're 20th in points
And they
allowed.
got studs. Like, you look at the talent, there's Von Miller, their corners, their safeties, whatever. They've got really good players. But there was a stretch there, I don't have their schedule in front of me, where they were giving up 35, 40 points.
Well, and some of that comes from turnovers.
Yeah.
If the offense puts the defense in bad situations, often you're giving up points.
All right, I want to get into one of the topics that you brought up, and we talked about this earlier in the week. Amongst the 4 junkies, I'm the least high on Jay Gruden. And I can see why people want to give him a pass this year. And I want to open up to our callers, 800-636-1067. And it's funny because I had this story in the notebook for like 3 days. We never got to it. It's Friday, of course. Now it's not there. But I saw some sort of rating service. It wasn't Pro Football Focus. It wasn't Football Outsiders.
Oh, there's that new
rates the coaches every week. And what I found interesting was, first of all, they do it every week. So for last week's game, they gave Jay Gruden a really high grade.
Right.
And they graded in several categories, whether it's clock management, who we grill as clock management
That's always
at times,
been an issue.
but it grades personnel. It has like 5 or 6 different factors, and it grades them every week. And then on the season, some of the people that you would expect to be atop the list are the guys with good teams, whether it's Doug Peterson or Bill Belichick. But Jay Gruden was in the top 10 of coaches in their grading system. And I want to hear from listeners, 800-636-1067. Do you think Jay Gruden's a good coach? I'm not even going to ask you, do you think he should be back next year? Now, personally, kind of riding the fence. I feel like if you asked us 4 years ago when Jay Gruden took over and said, all right, 4 years from now, you're going to make the playoffs once, and you'll win the division that year. You're only going to be 9-7, but you are going to make the playoffs, win the division. But after 4 years, you're going to be 6 or 7 games under 500. Would you take that? I don't think I would. I think you shoot for more in 4 years.
You were 3-13.
I get it, but I still think 4 years you shoot for more. It's a results business. I can understand this year with the injuries. But do you forget about last year, the way that it ended? And I just don't have confidence that, I think Jay Gruden, to answer my own question, is Jay Gruden a good coach? Right? 800-636-1067. I think he's a fine coach. He's okay. To me, a good coach does better.
And by the way, JP Finley, there's 2 JPs. This is kind of confusing in here. JP loves to dismiss all the churn and burn that has happened under Dan Snyder's regime. JP hates continuity, hence he's ready to throw.
It's not that I
Jay
hate continuity.
Gruden overboard.
I like good continuity. If I'm the Patriots, I love that continuity.
Right. Here's the thing, and I asked Gruden about this yesterday, and he was totally dismissive. Nobody in the Snyder era has accomplished, even if Jay doesn't get to 8-8, and I get that 8-8 is laughable and shouldn't be celebrated. I understand all that. Even if they just get to 7-9, nobody has strung together 3 mediocre years in a row. He has provided stability, and I think some of that is a reworked front office. I think Scott McLuhan helped bringing players in. I think the front office now, despite fans towards Bruce Allen, they have a pretty good group with Doug Williams. Eric Schaefer's widely respected around the NFL. What Gruden has done, let's say they finish 7-9. They go 1-1 down the stretch here. There is no coach in
which is what I expect, by the way.
And that's reasonable. There's no coach that has done that has done, I mean, what would that be, 9-8-7? And, yeah, the trend is the wrong way.
So I think they'd be 8 games under 500 roughly
for his
tenure. Yeah.
It's tough to grade him on that first year when you're trying to get out of the Robert Griffin experiment. Colt McCoy started 4 games that year. Kirk was not particularly good that year. I mean, they have grown a lot under his leadership, and I think you can.
So do you think he's a good coach?
I think this year
I think he's average.
I think he's above average.
Okay.
I'm not saying he's great. I don't know what.
Right.
There's 2 backbreaking losses on Jay Gruden's resume. And I don't know how you get away from Week 17 last year against the Giants and the Saints game this year.
Right.
I mean, those are back.
Those are
breakers.
disturbing.
Right. And there are some highlight wins you can point to as well, but I don't think any of the highlight wins, 2015 in Philly when they just went up there and stomped the Eagles, are better than those 2 losses.
Right. I want to bring this up with Redskins fans, 800-636, because I started thinking this when we heard the news about Marvin Lewis. So Marvin Lewis has been with Cincinnati for 15 years.
That's crazy.
Never won a playoff game. Did make the playoffs 7 times. So in Cincinnati Bengals lore, he's unbelievable.
Sure.
He's taken them to the
They're gonna
playoffs
build
like
a statue
every
of
other
him.
year. But is that what you want?